Guess what they lobby on? Navigators Global.
I would have to guess immigration.
There you go. He attended. This is the chief of staff for Rubio. Remember, Rubio could have picked anybody. Why did he pick him? Whose background is almost exclusively on illegals as a chief of staff. He attended the 2003 meeting in the White House. There was a meeting in 2003 specifically to promote a policy favored by that lawyers group, which stands to gain enormously, huge ways as the immigration law, the Gang of Ochos, likely gets passed. In the late 90s, this Cesar Conda, the chief of staff for Marco Rubio, he was the legislative director for a senator out of Michigan. Now, you got to follow this. This gets a little difficult. The senator out of Michigan was Spencer Abraham. Spencer Abraham only ended up serving one term, but he worked for him in the late 90s. Abraham lost that Senate seat in Michigan partially because a group called Numbers USA, which is anti-illegal immigration, these people are doing good work at Numbers USA, they highlighted and promoted that this senator from Michigan at the time, Spencer Abraham, had a huge role in defeating a piece of immigration legislation reform at the time. Abraham stood against this law, and it was a bill that would have stopped or helped stop illegal immigration, that it would have helped stop that illegal people coming here, would have cracked down on it. Abraham was instrumental in shutting it down. So Numbers USA says, hey, this guy was partially responsible, and that's part of the reason he lost his seat. That went into the campaign. While this is going on, Conda's working for him, at least in the late 90s. So you have a senator who tries to shut down the illegal immigration thing, and this Conda's working for him. Obviously, you would assume like-minded. During the 96 immigration debate, Abraham opposed an employee identification plan in the bill that would have required and helped any employers reject an applicant who are not legally allowed to work in the U.S. So Conda's past is filled with immigration. I mean, he's obviously pro, illegals, pro comprehensive reform, maybe pro form of amnesty, as I call it. This is his past. He has been at the forefront working with people on piece of legislation, attorneys, groups, lobbying groups that have to do with immigration, and Marco Rubio hires him to be his chief of staff. If your background is exclusively or almost exclusively in one area, or your area of expertise is immigration, wouldn't you expect someone to hire you based on that information? Are you going to hire me to help do brain surgery? No. You may hire me to tell you something about broadcasting. I could probably tell you a little bit about that. You're not going to hire me to cut down a tree. I don't know anything about cutting down trees. Cesar Conda knows about immigration. He knows about the lobbying. He knows about the attorneys involved. He knows all of that stuff. He's been at the forefront, and that's who Rubio chooses a chief of staff. And it just so happens that the person he chose, Cesar Conda, does not think like I do. What does that point to? That points to Marco Rubio having similar ideas. Why would you hire somebody that was so opposed? If Rubio really believed the stuff he believed on the campaign trail, why would he hire somebody who thinks differently, whose expertise is in immigration, and put him as chief of staff? That paints a picture that possibly Rubio has been wanting a bill like this for a long time. I'm going to expose a little bit more and tell you what I think is coming out of Marco Rubio and the Gang of Ocho coming up next on The Morning Blaze.
The Morning Blaze with Doc Thompson.